runs deep like a Chevy. If you fall, I'll fall with you, baby.
Hi, I'm Heather Earls, and since it's June, that means our strawberries are ripe. So today I'm going to be teaching you how to can strawberry jam. In front of you, you see the tools that we'll be using. Here you see the lids. Here is a handy tool that you will use to take the jars out of the water so you don't burn yourself. A magnet, which will take the lids out of the water, as you see. Next, we have a metal spoon. This you'll use to ladle the foam out of the jam before you put it into the jars. Then, of course, we have our ladle. And this is a potato masher. This is what I use to mash the strawberries over here. Remember, we're making jam, so you want little bits of fruit in there. You don't want whole fruit, but little bits, so this is a perfect tool for that. Then, of course, we have our funnel. And then you see I have a wet washcloth here. After you've filled your jars with jam, you want to make sure and wipe the top ring of the jar before you put the lid on it, just to make sure there's no residue on top so you'll get a nice seal. And then here is the Sure Gel box. This is what we'll be using, the recipe inside. This is a new box, so I open it up, voila, recipe. So if you have questions about the video, just look at the directions in the box. So over on your left here, we have 7 cups of sugar, and we have 4 cups of strawberry. This is what the recipe calls for, and then butter in front of you and a ½ teaspoon. So we will put the fruit in the saucepan first, and then we'll add the sugar, and then we'll add a ½ teaspoon of butter. The butter helps to keep the foaming down. Then back behind me, you see our jars are warming on the stove. Then the lids. The lids you'll put in a saucepan like this. You'll boil water in a teapot and just pour it over the lids and then leave it set. Here is the pot we'll be using to put our fruit and our sugar in to make our jam. And then behind me here, you see I have extra clean jars. So as I take out a jar from the hot water, I will replace it with one of the cold ones. So you always have jars that are heating. Then I turn the oven on to low, the lowest setting it'll go. I think ours goes to 170 degrees. After you've filled the jar, we'll put it in the oven to keep it warm until we're all ready to can. So the next step is to pour your strawberries or whatever fruit you have first into the saucepan, and then your sugar, and then your ½ teaspoon of butter. Okay, so here we are at our next step. I have our pot turned on to high, so I'm going to add the strawberries first. There we go. And now the sugar. And now remember, we add a ½ teaspoon of butter so it helps keep the foaming down. So there we go. So now this needs to heat till it's at boiling, a rolling boil that doesn't stop when you stir it. At that point, we're going to add our pectin in, and then you boil it for exactly 1 minute longer, and then you remove it from the heat and start filling your jars. So I will come back as soon as we have a rolling boil on the stove. Okay, so we are at a rolling boil. So in the meantime, I opened up the little packet of pectin. I'm going to dump this in, and then we'll set a timer for 1 minute. Okay, so I'm going to continue to stir for that 1 minute, and then as soon as the timer goes off, I'm going to remove it from the heat and then skim some of the foam off the top. Okay, our timer just went off, so I'm going to turn off the heat. And I'm going to move this over here. Okay, I did grab a little bowl. We'll be using this to ladle the foam into, and then you can just discard the foam, okay? So there you can see the foam and what it looks like. We're just gonna ladle some of that off the top. We're gonna grab a jar. And remember, you're gonna replace it with a cold one. You just dump the water in the middle and just work your way around. Set it here. Here's our funnel. You want to fill the jar till it's about 1/8 of an inch from the top. Okay, put in a little bowl. Now remember our washcloth, you want to take this and just wipe the top so there's no residue left on. Grab one of your lids with your magnet. Grab a ring. Your finger just keeps the lid on so it doesn't shift around as you're tightening your ring up. And then you're going to hand tighten it and then put it in your oven until the oven and or your jars are all filled, and then at that point we will come back and I will give you the final steps on how to can strawberry jam. There you can see I have all of my jars filled. This pot is now empty. Now the next step is going to be you're going to take your now filled jars out of the oven, and you can use one of two methods. You can put them in a hot water canner. Just make sure that there's 1 to 2 inches covering your jars. Boiling water, and you're going to process jams 10 minutes and jellies 5 minutes. If different altitudes, check the instructions in the SureGel box to adjust your altitude. The next, or the second method, the one I use, is our dishwasher. I know you think I'm crazy, but it really works. So you would take all your jars out of the oven, put them in the dishwasher. You're gonna push just your normal cycle and make sure it's on heated dry. And when that is finished, when your dishwasher beeps and or when your timer is up on your hot water canner on the stove, you're gonna pull all the jars out, set them on the counter, just on a towel like this, and then put another one on top. You're gonna leave them there for about 24 hours. And at the end of that 24 hours, you're gonna push all the tops to make sure they've sealed. If one pops up and down, it means it's not sealed, and you will just put that in the refrigerator. In no way is it spoiled, it just hasn't sealed. Maybe there was a little residue left on it. The rest of them, you'll just then store in your pantry in a cool, dark place, and then just use them at will. So I hope you've enjoyed the video, and this is about the easiest recipe you can use. If you get brave, go online and check out other recipes. For now, I'm signing off. This is Heather Earls on how to can strawberry jam.
If you fall, I'll fall with you, baby, 'cause that's the way we like to do it.